All right, guys, welcome back for another episode. Another episode of the A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. It is your host, Trey. So excited to be back with you guys for another Tuesday, another episode. This week's episode, I'm so excited to talk about this one. This one, I dropped a few jalapeno peppers in there, so I feel like this episode is going to be super spicy. So I can't wait to hear from you guys. The title of this episode is Who is the Alpha in the House? Who's the alpha in the house? I need to know who wears the pajama pants and who got on the nightgown. Who's the alpha, right? And it's bigger than just that, right? It's bigger than just the feminine or the masculinity, the testosterone, the estrogen. Like it's a lot deeper than that. And I can't wait to hear what our panelists have to say about it, as well as you guys in the comments. So I need you guys heavy in the comments this episode because I want to hear everybody's point of view. So without further ado, I'll introduce your panelists for tonight. Davon, let's start with you. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Good night, everybody. My name is Devon. I'm actually one of the co-producers of A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. I'm glad you guys are actually tuning in. Let's go. I'm excited about this conversation because I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about. We need to hear you guys' opinions as well. So just go on that roller coaster with us.
Right, right. Come with us on a roller coaster. And if you're on, share this video because I know that you got a friend who think that she's the head of the household, who thinks that she's the alpha. And I know that you got a male friend who maybe thinks that he's the alpha. They fighting for control right now, battle of power, right? So share this video if you're watching. Somebody else needs to see this. I'm telling you, they do. So Hannah, why don't you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Hannah. I have a weekly show that I do on Instagram called Winspiration Wednesday. Every Wednesday. Right now, Winspiration is on hiatus until the fall, but I'm going to do a special episode tomorrow night just for you, Trey. So, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, let's go. And you guys definitely have to make sure that you tune in for this Inspiration Wednesday because I'm telling you, these topics are super juicy. The replies are super hilarious.
Yes, they are.
And you guys really, 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 really don't want to miss it, right? And if she said it's a special one just for me, you guys definitely got to tune in because I know it's going to be a good one. So when we go through these topics, right, and I have Natalie in our comments, and she said right off the bat, please define alpha for clarity, please, right? Let's just get that right out the way, right? And I like that because that was actually going to be like one of my first questions. So, and I always like to start at the very beginning of a topic, right? Like where does this begin? And things of that sort. So we'll keep that same thing, that same ball rolling. So, Davon, why don't you give us your definition of alpha?
I believe alpha is someone that's strong mentally and physically. They make wise decisions. They are a protector. They hardworking, and they also have like a dominant personality.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
those is just to say the least of some of the attributes alpha person would possess.
right, right. So like when we look at alpha, right, it really sounds like a leadership role, right? Like I'm leading the boat, right? And I think some of the times when we look at alpha, sometimes people just look at it as control and not the work that comes in as far as being the person that has that sense of direction. So Hannah was telling us off air, like Hannah actually has, you said, four brothers.
Yes.
So four brothers and of course a dad as well, and I'm pretty sure a lot other men in your family. So you've been able to be around a lot of different men, and especially growing up with four brothers. Where does someone, in your opinion, or from what you've seen, like where does one learn to be an alpha, like male or female?
Whew. Sometimes I think it's internal. It comes from within. I think some people, they may not even be raised to be an alpha, but they just come out that way. just for whatever reason, they make the best of whatever their circumstances are, and they just become tough and dominant and strong. Like Devon said, I think the common definition when we think of like alpha, we think of someone that dominates. You know, the alpha is like the person that stands out in a group of people. Um, but I think if we're being stereotypical, sometimes now if we're talking about like a male learning how to be an alpha or how to be dominant or how to take the lead per se, he might learn that from his father.
Yeah.
And I think too also some women might learn how to be alpha from other women who are climbing the corporate ladder. They want to be successful. They don't necessarily want to be reliant on a man. So
Right.
sometimes they learn that from their mom or a motherly figure.
Yeah, yeah. And we see that a lot in society now with the independent woman movement,
Yeah.
and really honing in and really taking pride in women taking pride in being feminine and being women, but also being leaders and trying to own a room and being able to not be dependent on anyone else. So Davon, when we look at being an alpha, and Hannah, she touched on like you could learn it from your dad or maybe your mom, depending on, or you might not, and you just kind of picked it up on your own. Do you think that having a male figure, like of any sort, grooms someone to be an alpha?
I think thinking back to the traditional way, traditionally males are projected to be that alpha figure in the home or in the relationship because of the attributes that they do possess. Um, but that would assume that you would have to have like a male leader or a male figure in your life for that you to one day to become an alpha. To be honest, I don't think that's true. Like just piggybacking on what Hannah said, like women could be alphas because oftentimes like there's a lack of a male figure within the home, and they still become the head of the household.
Mm,
Um, you could become an alpha even if you're not taught at a young age. You become an alpha based off just circumstance. Whatever cards you were dealt, you had to maybe take on this leadership role, had to have a harder exterior just so that you can get ahead in life. So I don't believe that is true.
yeah,
That you need
yeah.
a male figure to become an alpha.
I agree with that, and especially what we see a lot. I want to say not so much often because I think that we're seeing a lot more men like you, like myself, who are stepping up and you're involved with your children and things of that sort. But for a long time, the stereotype was that male figures weren't around. And even for myself, for an example, I love my dad, and I can say this publicly because we've talked about it privately, but my dad did a lot for me, but early on, time is what we missed the most of. And I consider myself an alpha, right? And it wasn't until my later years where he kind of figured that out. Like what, the timepiece is a little bit more important than financial or any of those other things. But you just learn, like you go through life experiences and you learn these things, right? So now that you guys kind of both said like, all right, men can be alphas by default. That's the stereotype, right? And then Davon, like you just said, like, a woman could possibly be the alpha, right? That brings me into a conversation that we've had on this podcast before. And I'd really love you guys to check that episode out if you haven't seen it. And that episode was entitled Gender Roles. Gender roles. I think whenever you talk about the alpha complex, right? When we talk about alpha male, alpha female, you got to talk about gender roles. And Natalie has something else in the comments that I want to put up for you guys. Like Natalie said, I was raised to be a wife, a submissive wife. No shade or disrespect, but I became an alpha by default. Like by default. And I like that she said that because now that paints a different picture that's a little bit away from the stereotype. Like I was raised to be submissive, but because of the cards that I was dealt, this is just I had to be. And I always think of that saying where they be like, I ain't choose the thug life chose me.
Chose me.
Right? There are some women out there that's like, I didn't choose the alpha life chose me, right? But when we look at gender roles, right? And we kind of went over if a woman can be the alpha. I want to ask the question, is it, and I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, but is it okay if a woman is the alpha, Hannah, if she's in a household with a man? So if you're in a relationship, you're in this house, is it okay if she's the alpha?
Wow, Trey, we didn't even warm up. Okay. Okay. You know, the first 10 minutes, let's go.
Right.
You know what? I feel like this is like my personal opinion. I can't speak for all women. I think it depends on the relationship, because one thing I've noticed, some men actually like women that dominate.
Is the
And
alpha, Hannah?
some men like that and some men don't. You know what I mean? So I think it depends on your individual relationship. Like, from what I understand, a lot of men don't really want that. So that might cause a clash in their relationship. So yeah, I just think it depends on your relationship. I don't think, you know, some guys, they want to be told what to do. They want you to just dominate, you know.
Right.
And I think because of modern society and the way everything is set up now, what's happening is, in some ways, it's getting to the point that some guys may not be used to or know how to be the alpha, because it's a lot of women are kind of like being like dominant now. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And today's society is so, and we'll get into that later on in the conversation. Today's society, just in general, but today's society, you see that mix, or you see that group of men, like Hannah said, that may not even want to be the alpha. They're all right with being told what to do. So I really do agree, in the sense that it is situational. Like, you may have a situation where this may work for you guys, and then you may have a situation where it just doesn't work for you guys. So piggybacking off of that, Davon, when you think about it working for somebody, right? What do you think that situation is like, when you have two alphas in the house, right? Like, so now, we're not even gonna use the scenario that the man is submissive. What if the man is not submissive? What would you say, or what do you think, like, that fight? Is there a fight for dominance? Does one bow down? Like, in the animal kingdom, we see them fight for dominance. I'm not promoting domestic violence on this podcast, so we're not going to say that it's a literal fight for dominance. But do you think that it's like maybe a mental fight for dominance on a daily basis when you have two alpha characteristics, male and female?
Again, like you guys said, I think it goes like case by case basis. You know how they say the terms, well, whatever floats your boat.
Mm.
If they have that level of understanding, they both know that they're independent people. They both have strong personalities, and they both want to be the decision makers within that relationship. I think it could work. You said, what would that fight be like? There's probably no fight. I mean, everybody argues, but there's probably no fight for just that one role of dominance. It's probably no fight. Realistically, we think like, all right, so two dominant people, it's going to be a clash. But what if there's no clash? If they have that level of understanding, there might not even be a clash. They both know what they know, what I bring to the table. I know what you bring to the table. I know that you're going to be independent. I know you're going to be a go-getter. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to be a go-getter. I may want the last word. You may want the last word. But how do we go about that so that both of us can have the last word? So long as they're like a level of understanding between them, I think it could work.
Right, right. So it's not. So would you say it's important, because and these are terms that alpha male, alpha females, that are not just used to describe relationships, but even when you look at like any type of animal there is, whether it's a lion, gorillas, hyenas, wolves, right? There's always a leader, right? And even with lions, like, the male lions will raise their cubs up until a certain age, but once they get into that adolescent stage, it's a fight for power, where they'll pretty much kick the young lion out, because now when that lion gets to a certain age, he's going to challenge him for dominance over the entire fight or over the entire family. So, but then there's also a role that's not spoken about enough, I believe, which is the beta role, which is you're not a part of the common people, right? You're in a leadership role, but there's one leader, right? Do you believe that it's important that someone has to assume that role and say like, okay, there's one leader. Yes, your input is important as well. Yes, you have a sense of dominance, but you're not the alpha.
Um, I believe that again, like with men, I feel like we had to take on a role like traditional speaking again of being that alpha, and then a woman always being a more submissive one. But once again, we're in a different climate. I think that it could work. Like most men is okay with going that 50-50 or the 60-40, just pretty much whatever works for them.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely. What do you think about and I'll ask Hannah this because you're a woman. So maybe
Oh
you can
Lord.
maybe you can speak for the women for a second, or just maybe women that may think like you. And if all of the women, I'm not going to say if all of the women that are watching now, please comment, because I really genuinely want to know you guys' opinion on this. Although they may differ, but how do you feel about the idea of 50-50, 60-40? Because nowadays, I hear some things about it, and it's like you'll see a post or a meme, and it's like, oh, we could go 50-50, we could go 60-40. And then I see things that's like, well, if my man not taking care of everything, blah, 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 I don't want him. Right. So what do you think about that idea of 50-50, or whatever the percentage is, as long as it's not, if the man is not doing 100? Like, what do you think about that?
Okay. I just want to clarify. Are we talking about 50-50 when it comes to like the dating phase, or are we talking about like splitting bills 50-50?
Let's go splitting bills. Let's go split. No, as a matter of fact, let's be progressive, right? Let's go dating, and then splitting
Forever.
bills. Right.
Okay. This is my personal thing when it comes to
That's what. Look, put the disclaimer up. Let me put a disclaimer up on the screen.
I'm
This
not
is
Red
taking
Hannah's
all
tag.
personal.
women, it's just me. Because I'm not about to take all the women out with me. But I just personally, um, mind you, I have uh, liberal beliefs and I have conservative beliefs depending on the situation. So I'm a hybrid of both. Um, but when it comes to dating, I like tradition. Like I like the traditional role. Like I like to be taken out. I like, like if a guy opens the door, like I like some of that old school stuff. Obviously not everything old school, because some old school things are kind of not that healthy. So I would say during the dating phase, especially, I would say, to be fair, whoever asks who out, that's who needs to pay. So like if you as a guy, if you approach me and you ask me on a date, I expect you to pay because you asked me. It was your idea. Because
Yeah.
at that point, I could have been doing something else with my time. No shade to
Right. Right. Right.
not
Well,
that I
okay
don't want to
then.
spend my time with you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like, as a woman, we put time and energy and effort to look presentable for a date. We have to get our hair done. We have to pick out an outfit. You know what I mean? It's things like that. So I think that should also be taken into consideration when it comes to the cost of a date. It's not just paying for the meal, it's all the preparation that women have to put into the date.
Right.
So if a guy asks me out and it's his idea, then I'm thinking he's going to pay. That's
So
just
so basically, you saying that when guys ask women out on dates, we just throw on a t-shirt and some jeans, and we just like we going to take the SATs, right? We just
Pretty
no. Okay,
much.
okay, but out.
This
I'm
face
just
still
messing
gotta
with
get
you.
Y'all gotta
moisturized.
put y'all
Like
okay. Y'all got a fresh fit. Okay, I'll give y'all that. Okay, but we got to get a new fit too. But keep in mind, going to the barber shop is like what, $20. You know what I mean? Us getting our hair done is at least 100. Not including nails. And then makeup is like foundation is like $40-$50.
Right.
So including all the other stuff. I'm not even going into all that detail,
Right,
but
right, right.
for a woman to look cute, it costs hundreds of dollars, literally.
I believe you. But if a woman now, if the woman asks the man out, on the flip side, you already put that cost into play,
That's why
and
I don't be asking dudes out. But that's just but that's just
Glad you
me.
were
Like
honest. Glad you were honest.
nah, I love that one. So now when we talk about the 50-50 in the house. So now we get past the dating stage. I did everything right. We get to a point where we serious. We want to move in together. We're working towards, we're engaged, married, and we're living together. Um, what does that look like? When is it okay? Like, if I ask you to move in with me, do I pay all the bills? Like, is it the same, thing, or is it situational?
um I'm just like reading what my brother said. He said the man should pay because it shows the woman he can provide for her and it shows stability.
I
So
like
I
that.
can so I think that's kind of where my mindset is coming from when it comes to guys paying. Um, but as far as when it comes to the bills, I would say you would have to factor in how much money each person is making.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So like say if you have one person who makes 100, another person who makes 50 a year, splitting the bills in the middle is not fair. You know what I
Right,
mean? Because one person has a lot more income than the other.
right.
So I think you should definitely factor each other's income as far as like how you split the bills.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think when you look at it in the sense of, if we got to this point where we're at this stage in our relationship, you knew what my finances were, I knew what your finances were. So if I'm the 100 a year and you're the 50 a year, or vice versa, it's kind of like you knew where we were headed, you knew what we were getting ourselves into. So how we split things, that's
Yeah.
something that's personal. So now I'll ask you this last follow up question is, if I'm the guy that makes 50, you're the woman that makes 100, are you now the alpha? Can I still be the alpha of the house? Like, if I have this alpha personality, can I still be the alpha of the house if you pay majority of the bills?
Whew, that is so interesting. You know what? Okay. I think there's multiple variables involved in this, right? Because I think as a man, you can still be the alpha making less than a woman. But I think what happens a lot of times is, if we're being honest with ourselves, this is not all the time, but I think what happens is when the man is like making less, significantly less than the woman, it does something to both of them. Like I think it does something to the guy where it kind of, I don't know, it makes him feel a little uncomfortable, or like, I don't want to say insecure, but not fully like he's providing as much as he would like. You know what I mean?
Right,
And I think some women who could be breadwinners or making more, they might have a different vibe where it's like, oh, who you talking to? Do what I, you know what I mean? Because I make 100, so you gonna sit down and shut up. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes like that kind of like that attitude kind of seeps in unconsciously,
right,
and so I think because like if you ever notice too, like women who are in a relationship with a guy that makes a lot more, they kind of just be quiet and just kind of like tolerate a little bit more because they know that their stuff is being paid for. You know what I
right,
mean? So like a lot of times whoever has more money kind of seems to have a little bit more influence when it comes to certain
right.
things.
And the other party just kind of rolls with
Yeah,
it. What what
like
what what do you say
and I
to that,
men are
Davon?
naturally more dominant, and that's what it gets. There's like a clash.
Well, I gotta say, listen, I like my 50K a year. I like what I do. Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking. Um, I don't. So if we're asking just because the man make less, does that make him less than alpha? Is that correct?
Yeah,
All right, so I don't think it make him less of an alpha, because I feel like to be an alpha, that's like a collective or a collage or a variety of different components what makes you an alpha. So if you're not the breadwinner of the house, that's okay, but you're still the protector, you're still the leader, you're still the main decision maker. You get what I'm saying? So it doesn't
right,
make
right,
him less of an alpha. You know, financial situations is constantly evolving. So first 3 years he could be making 50K and she's making 100, and then by the fourth year he make 200K a year. So that financial situation, that's always a revolving door. So that
Right.
doesn't determine if he's the alpha or not, because there's so many other components and boxes that got to get ticked off to make him the alpha in the first place.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. There's a comment. There's a comment. Let me find this comment, and I want you guys in the comment section to really comment on this comment. Women want a man to take control. They love that. Is that true? Like, is that true? I need to know if that's true, right? I'm not gonna. I already asked Hannah to speak for the mass of women, so I ain't gonna ask her to do it again. But I need to know what you ladies think, like, or even the men. Like, have you encountered women that you feel like that love for you to take control? Like, is that what the mindset is? Because from what I've seen in my own personal experience, not with women that I've dated, but online with social media, the new news, where it seems like there's a shift where women don't want that, where they're like, yo, listen, you don't tell me what to do. Like Hannah said, like I do this on my own, I do that on my own. So can't nobody, be dominant, or be in control around me. And we're equals, right? So I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about that. Stephen wrote in our comments, the man will be emasculated with an alpha woman if he's not strong enough. There has to be a balance. If she would have to be fair, the problems start with her past. If she had bad experience, then she will be a bad at being an alpha with somebody that's strong. Um, what she'll be bad at being an alpha with somebody that's strong and nice. So what do you think about that, Davon? Like, do you think that there are women that may be in an alpha role because of their experience, but they meet someone who might be nice and still strong, but just maybe not aggressive or whatever the case may be, and then it's a possibility that the situation may not work because maybe she's being an alpha in the wrong kind of way.
Right. So in that case, there may be a disconnect there. Only if we go back to circumstance. If a woman had to become alpha based on circumstance, and now she meets a guy who's necessarily not taking that alpha role, but we got to ask her what's her wants. Because if she's okay with the guy not taking on that alpha role or not having dominant traits, then it may work. But if she wants somebody like, all right, I'm tired of this. I've been doing this for a long time. Because of my circumstance, I understand that I had to become the alpha. But now I want a guy to be the alpha for me so that I can relax. If he doesn't possess those traits, he could learn.
Right.
If he loved the woman that he's with, he can learn. This is not something that I feel like we're just born with. We either taught it, we seen it, we admired it, or we had to become it. So you can
Right.
actually learn. And if he don't learn, I do believe that there will be some type of disconnect. Because if we're going of what we are attracted to and what we want out of somebody, and that person lack it or not trying to be that, or meet you at the table with that attribute, then there definitely will be a disconnect. But if she's okay with it still being an alpha and he's okay with having a woman for an alpha, then it can work. But
Yeah.
if their
Yeah.
interests are on the two different ends of the spectrum, then it's not going to work.
Right, right. And Cherie said in our comments, it's called being broken. And I think a lot of people, not just women, right? So I don't want to take this comment and specify it to women, but a lot of even men have been in situations where they have been leading improperly, right? So they may walk in a room as dominant, they may walk in the relationship as dominant and appear to be dominant, but like Steph said in our comments, she said being an alpha, and Davon said this earlier, being an alpha is more than just who makes the most. It's a lot more that comes into that, like protecting, even emotionally, right? Because we take protecting just as, all right, if a guy steps to you at the club, I got your back, right? Protecting, emotionally, mentally. you know, and leading and all of those different things, right? So men are broken at times. So they come to situations with a woman that may have been raised to be submissive or taught to be submissive or wants to be submissive, right? All of the above. And she's being led. And I said this in our gender role episode that it seems like there are a lot of women that want to be led, and she wants you to drive, but that don't mean she's gonna let you crash the boat. Right? Like so now she might be in a situation where it's like, I gotta grab the wheel now. You know, say Jesus take the wheel. Like, you know what? I gotta grab the wheel now because you're not gonna kill us both. Right? Steph also said in our comments, we black women take control in every other area of lives. I don't really want to be 100% in control when it comes to my relationship. And I really love what she said because it is, and I put this back on the screen for you guys. I really love what she says because you guys can take control in every other area of your life. So she's not saying I got to be, you know, submissive in every area of my life in order for me to be submissive in my relationship, or to be in control in my relationship. So that doesn't, if you're somebody who's an independent woman, that doesn't mean that you have to like, I can't pay my own bills. I can't get my own money. I can't make 500K a year. Oh no, you can still be you and still have your man be the alpha in the house. So it's not like you have to trade one for the other. And the same thing for men, right? Like you can still do this, you know, be the alpha everywhere else, right? That you can walk in a room full of men and be the alpha in that room, like, but you may come home and you could possibly not be the alpha. I mean, that's not my cup of tea, but it may be yours. That may be your situation, right? Steph said in our comments there. Give me 1 second. She said there are a lot of broken beta males and females pretending to be alphas. Hey now, come on, somebody. Wait. And I know we talked about alphas and some of the traits of alphas, right? But let's talk about some of the traits of betas. So betas are leaders, but they're naturally submissive, right? They don't mind to be submissive, and to the alpha in certain areas and stuff like that. That doesn't mean that, now again, if we comparing it to, let's say, wolves or lions, that doesn't mean that anybody else in the team could act crazy or nothing like that, right? But they don't mind being submissive. They're still leaders. They don't mind being submissive. So there are a lot of broken beta males, men that don't mind being submissive or may be broken. So they're in a position where they just feel like they have to be submissive. And then there are women that are pretending to be alphas. That's spicy. What say you, Hannah? What say you?
So you're asking me about betas?
Right. This comment right here. There are a lot of broken beta males and females pretending to be alphas.
She's right. She's right. Um, and I think the pretending to be an alpha female, I think that comes, like, I call it the strong black woman syndrome, where, um, and it doesn't just have to be black women, but women in general being put in situations where they have to take the lead, they have to take charge, they don't have a choice because they're all that they have. And so I think sometimes they might develop that alpha, quote unquote, persona, but that's not really their nature. They really
Right.
want to be, you know, a princess. They want to be soft, they want to be feminine, and they want to be delicate, and they want someone to take care of them and protect and provide
Right.
for them. They just don't have that. So, yeah.
I think one that let me be, and I don't want to be on my Steve Harvey right now because I remember, if y'all ever seen that movie, think like a act like a woman, think like a man, and they were saying Steve Harvey was giving away all the secrets and stuff like that, right? I don't want to be Steve Harvey right now, right? But I love the way that you brought up the fact that women may act that way, right? Because that's mentally nowadays what they've, or some women, right? I don't want to put this on all women or
Yeah.
all black women, right? They may have been conditioned to think that way, or it's a survival response, right? Like I'm strong, I'm this, I'm that, right? And that's where the pretending comes. But they really want to be loved. They really want to be treated, like a princess or whatever. Men, can I get the men in the comments? Can we just be real for a second? We just need a hug sometime. Like let's be real. You want your woman to give you a hug. You want her to tell you that she cares. You want her to take your emotions into account. It doesn't make you less of a man. It does not make you not the alpha in the house. Everybody needs somebody, right? That's not saying go outside the house and be a pushover, but while you in the house, right? I think men need that too, or men even there are a lot of men that want that. We won't admit that because it may appear as a sign of weakness, right? And for some people, when they're mentally battling for dominance, they don't want to look weak in any aspect. But I feel like having that opportunity and women, and the reason why I'm saying this and is not to give out trade secrets, right? So I don't want nobody throwing rocks at my window after this, right? The reason why I'm saying this is not to give out trade secrets, but for women to understand that. So if you're a woman and your man, you know that your man is not a sucker in no way, shape, or form. But in the house, he's vulnerable with you. He's emotional with you. He may even cry in front of you. Do not take that moment to bash that man, because that's how we create broken men and broken alphas, right? Because we need that. Men need that, right? So I just want to throw that out there. Do not make your man. Men cry too. Men cry too. It's just a known fact. And let your man be that. Let your man be vulnerable, because he needs to be able to be that with you, because we take hurt differently than you guys. We process it differently than you guys do, and that reaction from that, it could hurt a lot more than it'll help if you just sat there and listened, right? So yeah, I just definitely wanted to just throw it out. Sorry, I went on a little rant real quick.
No, right. I learned this stuff not that long ago. I'm gonna be honest with you. It took me a long time to learn what you just said. Like it
Yeah,
really did.
I'm
Whew.
telling you, and I
But
think
why is that though? Why is that? Let's ask ourselves, why is that? We're only
Because
human
guys
too,
don't be
right?
so guys don't tell me stuff. They don't say like when you're we like I feel like for some reason I don't know what happened or why, but this is just from my perspective. It seems like society is like in this weird place where it's like a man having any type of feeling besides like anger or happiness, um, and being a provider and a protector are like mutually exclusive. It's like you can't be both at the same time. I don't know why that's like a thing. It's so odd to me, but I think sometimes like men have this idea of like I can't be vulnerable and be a provider and a protector at the same time. It's really
right.
odd.
Why do you think that is, Davon?
I feel like um a lot of women look to us to be that provider. So to being that provider, we have to be strong. Whether it's physically or emotional, we have to be strong. So often cases when we do let our guard down and be that emotional being that we naturally are, it looks
Right,
like a sign of weakness. And based off that woman's reaction, like you said, just to pick up on what you said, it could make or break us
right,
to
right.
being a wholesome being or a broken being. Let's get back into this whole broken beta male thing. We could
Yeah,
take it back there because beta males, they're often looked at as a little bit more passive, a little bit more inferior in most instances, um a little bit more. But ain't that's like compromising though when you're in a relationship? Ain't
yeah,
that just compromising?
right,
So I want to make this final decision. Yeah, I can make the final decision, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to let her go and handle that. Ain't that's compromising though?
right, right,
So we really got to look at like what's a broken beta male? Is that a
right,
male just more often than not compromising with the woman that he loved? We got to
right,
ask ourselves that too.
right, right. Definitely, because again, just because you're a beta doesn't mean that you're not a leader. You just don't mind being submissive. So it
Absolutely.
can't. So now when we look at that, as men and women, and as a matter of fact, I'll just ask this question right out. Like, do you believe that women look down on men that are not alphas? So not just the broken betas, just not if you're just not an alpha in general. Do you think, Davon, that they look down on men that aren't alphas?
I do. I do think women look down on men who they feel are not alphas. I do believe that. But again, I need you ladies to understand that being an alpha is just not one thing. Like I said before, it's a mix of different components. You got to check several different boxes, and that's what make you an alpha. So just because the guy lacking being he's more emotional than a female, that does not make him less of an alpha. You get what
Right.
I'm saying? So you have to understand what's an actual alpha and the components that go along with being an alpha. And I do
Right.
think they look down on men who they feel are not alphas, but I don't think that they know the true definition of an alpha.
Ooh.
Shots fired. Pow, pow.
Wow.
That's the one. That's the one. So I
And
I I, I like that. I like that because we see that in a lot. Women judging men, or even men judging women. You're not a real woman. You're not a real man. To be a real man, you got to do this. To be a real woman, you got to be like this or whatever. But who gave you the blueprint on what a real woman or a real man or alpha male was, or a man that's not an alpha? Like, where did you get this blueprint from, that you feel like that I'm not living up to these standards because I may not checked off one of the boxes? So like Davon said, like, you could be, let's say, more emotional than most alphas, right, but still be an alpha. And then if you don't treat that man as such, you miss out on all of the other qualities. This man could be a master leader. He could be leading y'all to $1 million, right? But we missed out on all the other qualities because we wanted to look down on him because he cried a little bit,
Just a little bit. He just cried a little
right?
bit.
Like, just a little bit. That's crazy. And then the same thing with a woman, right? So now when we look at alpha women, let's say you're a beta male and you don't mind being submissive and you allow your woman to be the alpha, right? And she pays majority of the bills and she does this and all these other things, right? But she don't like washing dishes. Now you just missed out on everything. You lost it all for some dishes. And it reminds me of that. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the 80-20 rule, right? You could be getting 80%, but the 20% look like the 80 because you're not getting it, right? And we really not looking at everything that we're getting in the whole, because we're looking at that 20 that we're not getting, and it feels like the 80, right? So I like to think of, yeah, you can either look at your glass half empty or half full, like how you want to look at it. Like, it's whatever your perspective is, and you're going to get whatever, like whatever out of that you're going to get. Like, um, so, oh, this is interesting. Ashton says in our comments, I'm interested in how this conversation would shift or change if we bring into it same sex couples or couples where one partner is not binary.
non-binary.
Non-binary. Oh, sorry about that. Non-binary. Hannah, thank you for volunteering.
Oh man. Okay. How the conversation should be brought into if they were non. Okay. So are we talking about alphas in a same-sex relationship?
Right.
Okay. Um. I think that's the thing too, and like, I want to be careful what I say because I don't want to stereotype a group of people.
Right.
Say that this is always the case,
We don't want
but
no beef with them at
yeah,
all. People
I
get
don't want.
canceled. I don't want no problems.
Well, I don't want any beef with anyone. I don't want to beef with women because I didn't represent women properly because I'm the only female on this podcast. So no pressure. Uh, so I think one of the stereotypes, like when it comes to some same-sex relationships, like say if you have like two women or two men, you'll have like one person that kind of has like the more dominant role than the other person. So you'll have, like, for example, like with a lesbian couple, you'll have like someone that's like more feminine presenting and then another person that's more masculine presenting. And sometimes the person that is more masculine presenting might be the person that pays for the date or does more like dominant things. Not to say
Right.
that's all the case. I don't want to generalize. That can
Right. Right.
go,
Right.
male on male relationships as well. And then sometimes you have relationships where maybe no one really feels the need to be an alpha. Maybe both parties are like, well, I don't really care to wear the pants. Let's just, have a discussion and hash it out. But we're not too caught up in trying to, dominate the
Right,
relationship.
right, right. And I'm happy. I'm happy that we were able to address, that particular portion of it. And I really like your response. And at the end of the day, like, being that I'm not in a relationship like that, or what I'm saying, I can't really speak to it other than more than just generally speaking. But at any point, if someone asks a question in the comments, I definitely want to make sure that we address it, we talk about it, right, to the best of our knowledge, right. And definitely try to just be respectful about it, and things of that sort. So I really, 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 really like your answer when it came to that. Now I want to get into the juicy part, right? And that's talking about today's society.
Mm.
I think today's society, we're just so pushing away from what we used to know as the social norm. All of these things like gender roles and things of that sort. Like, we're really just trying to push the envelope, and we're doing things just differently, right? We're trying to, I don't know if it's trailblazing and creating something better, or some people would say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, so nowadays some people would say that women fight to be the alpha in the house. What do you think about that, Devon?
I'm actually on the fence with this one. I feel like, again, like whatever floats your boat. I feel like most women want a counterpart who exhibit alpha traits, and other women want a counterpart who they can be equals with. So I'm pretty much really on the fence with that one. Being submissive in today's climate is not a norm. You got a lot of independent, strong-minded, willfully strong women out there. So I'm pretty much on the fence with that.
Yeah. So what do you think, Hannah? You think it's a fight for dominance with today's society, like maybe like the younger generation of women? Like, do you feel like it's a fight to be the alpha in the house?
Mm. Sometimes I wonder if it's a fight to be the alpha or if it's a fight for men and women to actually understand each other to begin with.
Mm.
I think that's where I go. It's like, I notice like with social media, there's all like these memes and TikToks and videos about like the male perspective of dating, the female perspective, and like everyone trying to expose each other's codes.
Yeah,
And um, maybe it's not so much as being the alpha as much as just trying to understand and be in control of the situation and not
yeah.
get your.
So a defense mechanism,
Yeah,
right?
I think
So,
that's what comes into play sometimes. And I think some women are naturally just alphas. There's no going like about that, and that works for them. Like, I don't think we can put everyone in a box or stereotype every single individual.
right, right. Definitely. Some people are, some people aren't. One thing I can say that I really love about both of you guys' perspectives is that you guys give 100% authentically your point of view, but definitely don't limit it to your point of view, right? Like, so this is how I feel about this, but it could definitely vary in each situation. And the one thing that I like about that we see nowadays in today's society is that there's no more box of like, this is how it has to be done and that's it, right? There's more so now you see understanding, like, okay, I'm not sure which one of you guys said this earlier. It was like, well, this is what you bring to the table, this is what I bring to the table, and just kind of meshing that together. Like, okay, you bring this, I'll bring this. Like, you got the peanut butter, I'll get the jelly. You got the bread, I'll get the, and we'll just mesh it together, rather than just saying that this person has to do this by any way, means, shape, form, or fashion, or else, or just is just not going to get done. And I think that mindset for some people created struggle, or unnecessary struggle, because you put pressure on somebody to do something that they couldn't handle. And that might be why so many people were selling crack in the 80s. Like,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it might have been one of the reasons, right? There's one of those stresses that's just like unmatched is money stress, right? Like there's no stress like money stress. So if you got a man that make 50K and you make 100K, you might have to pay a little bit more of the bills because you stress that man out with that 50K to pay all them bills, and y'all live in a 30 room mansion. You're gonna stress that man out. He's gonna pull all his hair out, go crazy, right? So I think it really definitely does vary, like from situation to situation. I want to ask you guys a question. I'll ask you guys both this question. Um, when we talk about a man being the alpha, the woman being the alpha, and how it can vary depending on the situation, right? I want to bring kids into play, right? Do you believe that a woman being the alpha in the house can create any negative effects for the children, specifically if you have like a young boy in the house? Whoever want to start, throw them with it.
I'll take it. I don't think that it would be a negative effect, because I think that child wouldn't see the actual gender. They would see more so of what that adult figure brought to the table. So it would be a positive. So they would say like, "Oh, my mom was really hardworking. Oh, my mom was a go getter. Oh, my mom made all the decisions. Oh, my mom made all the decisions to financially, physically protect us." You get what I'm saying? So it would be they would see the actual role that they played, not necessarily the actual gender. So I think it would be a positive attribute. So when they get older, they're gonna be like, I want to be a provider, how my mother was a provider. I want to be a leader, how my mother was a leader. I don't
Right.
think that gender has anything to really do with that. It's just the role of
So
it's just
so
the
now,
action of doing.
right, right. So now it and do you believe that's the case even if there is a man in the house? So that's what I'm
So
saying. If there's both parents are in the house, but the
okay.
mother is the alpha.
Right. So what I spoke on previously was the lack of male figure being there. So now
Got
if
you, got
there's
you.
a male in the home and he's just complacent, would not partaking in any of the roles to make the home work. I'm not saying partaking in any of the roles to be an alpha. I said make the home work. Because what's
Right,
more important, there being an alpha in the home or the home actually working and functioning properly? You get what I'm saying? So I think that would be a negative effect if there were a male figure there and he partake in anything to make the home work at
right,
all. So that's
right,
being a provider, a protector, the decision maker, any of those attributes, I think it would be definitely a negative effect because it would have someone thinking, okay, well, I could do this,
right. Or
and
even
things gonna get done regardless.
right, right. And or even in this case, like Natalie said in our comments, I think the male child will look for an alpha woman like his mother.
Yep.
So
I,
so so what say you, Hannah, concerning this? Do you think it can have any negative effects or positive effects, or like what kind of effects do you think you have a two-parent home, and since Davon talked about having a son, having a daughter, let's say, could it have any negative or positive effects? The woman being the alpha in this house in this scenario.
I think it depends on what type of relationship they try to get into when they're an adult. For an example, so if a male is raised in a household where the woman is the alpha, and then they try to pursue a female who is used to the male being the alpha, there's definitely going to be a clash. And I know this because I've experienced this in my previous dating life where, like, you know, I'm like waiting for the guy to take the lead on stuff, and he just like, oh, whatever you want. Like, what do you want to do? Like, looking at me, and I'm like, wait, aren't you like? I'm waiting for you to take the lead, So it's
Right, right,
like confusion and frustration. Um, but if he pairs with another woman who's an alpha who likes to take the lead and likes to dominate and make decisions, then they'll work perfectly fine.
yeah,
And I think sometimes too, like I was saying earlier, what happens like with a female who is raised in that environment where the mom is the alpha, if she gets with a guy who's an alpha and he wants to take the lead, she might have a hard time dealing with that because she's used to seeing a female take the lead. So I think it depends on what relationship dynamic they enter into adulthood.
Right, right. And then Steph said in our comments, and I enjoyed this comment. She said, my spouse and I are offering a united front to our children. It's not strong or alpha, like to be displaying discord to the kids.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that because in a lot of situations there doesn't have to be a display of control, right? I could be the person that makes all the decisions, or you could be the person that makes all the decisions, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a display of control, right? So, Daddy, can I go? Mommy, can I go outside and ride my bike? Like, yeah, sure. Nope. All right. Well, your dad said no, right? You understand? It doesn't necessarily have to be a display of control. It could be a, hey, honey, let me talk to you for a second. Yeah, so I don't really think that, and although certain conversations happen behind closed doors, you guys remain united, and you may be the influential partner, male or female. I just use the male for the illustration, but male or female, you may be the more influential. But in front of kids, I do agree with having a united front, and not showing that discord or disagreements. And my parents, they didn't play like that. Like my parents did not play like that. Like if one of them said no, and I went to the other one and they said yes, and then they found out that the other one told me no first, they got mad at me. Like, oh, you gonna go, da, 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 like, and they always protected each other, right? Regardless of what my parents, went through in their personal relationship or whatever the case may be, when it came to us, they always looked out for each other and what the other one said, and they always showed that to us that they were working together. So if you're a parent, if you're in that household, I personally believe that it's always best to have those type of conversations um, behind closed doors, because your bosses don't do it at work, right? The big bosses from wherever you work at, they come, they sit in a room for a few hours, and they come out and they disperse all the ideas and the direction going forward. And I think that we should definitely take that principle. So last question, last question. Do women today want their man to be the alpha? So we're gonna speak not for all women, but let's just say with today's stereotype and the way that you guys or what you've seen today. Do you believe that most women want their man to be the alpha in today's day? Hannah, let's start with you.
Of course. Um, I think a lot of women probably do want their man to take the lead and be the alpha. But I think the question is, do they know how to handle that? Because think about it. If you have a woman, because I think it's very complex, because I think a lot of times women get the bad rap of like, you don't really want a man that takes the lead, da da da. But I think sometimes what happens is like, say for example, if you grew up in a household where there was no alpha male, and then you in a relationship with the alpha male, you may not know how to handle that right away. You might want that, you might be craving that, but you may not know how to deal with it when it's actually in front of your face. And there might be some time where you might have to adjust. And during that adjustment phase, sometimes there might be some frustration and some arguments that come along. And I think sometimes women need time to just adjust and accept the alpha. But yeah, I think a lot of women do want an alpha. They do want a guy that takes charge, takes the lead. Obviously, we're not talking about in like an abusive or disrespectful way, but yeah, I think that's a fairly common thing from what I've seen.
Right, right. I agree. I agree. What do you think, Davon? Do most women today want their man to be the alpha?
Absolutely. I definitely agree with everything Hannah said. I think most women want they gotta be a alpha, but not only alpha, a boss.
Right.
And they could be a trophy wife. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, yeah. More importantly, I do think that women in today's world want the guy to be an alpha, someone that could take charge, be the provider, and be also the breadwinner at the same time. Yeah, so they could sit with their feet kicked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm telling you, y'all don't know how
A real
many
housewife. Probably a real housewife. Like, no.
right. Y'all don't know how many posts I've seen recently about women waiting for sugar daddies. Like, you know what I mean? So if you could be a good mixture of both, if you could be that alpha and
Listen,
hold it down.
I want to be submissive and listen to the alpha, and I could get to be a housewife. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'm saying like it's out there. It's out there.
Yeah.
I just had a thought after having this conversation, and as you guys know, for the most part, I typically give you guys the next episode at the end of this episode, right? And we're hitting that mark where we're about to wrap up, right? And I had a plan for next episode, and I want to get you guys' take on it, panelists and everybody in the comments as well. And I thought that it might be good to do an episode this Tuesday titled "Men Cry Too."
Ooh.
What y'all think about that? What y'all think
Oh, that
about that?
touched me. That touched me, Trey. That touched me. You need to do it. You have
What
to do it.
what you think,
Have-
Davon?
Listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for shedding light on the inner experiences of a man. Like, I think it's a educational piece. I think a lot of people will take away something from it, so that when they do go home to their boyfriends or their husbands, the conversation will be different.
Let's see. Let's see. So what about you guys in the comments? I want to see what everybody says in the comments. See, I love it. Absolutely. Come on, throw those comments through. I need to know because this y'all perspective, this y'all perspective that's really going to get this episode on or off. I need to know. Men cry too, and I really like what you said, Davon, about people. It shedding light to people being able to know how to deal with that, right? Because I think that is something that's not really spoken about. Ashton says for sure. Barnett said in our comments, great topic. Natalie said in our comments, yeah, that sounds great. So it sounds like that's what we're doing, right? Next Tuesday at 8 p.m. We're gonna do Men Cry Too. We're gonna do Men Cry Too. Because I'm a man. I have emotions. I have emotions. I'm not soft. Ain't nobody, skipping me in line at McDonald's. Not McDonald's because I stay away from that fast food. It's not good for you. That gut start coming in. You know what I mean? So I gotta stay away from that. But y'all get the point of what I'm trying to say. The point of what I'm trying to say. So that wraps up another episode of A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. If you're watching this video and you didn't share it, I don't understand like why you kept this away from your friends. If those is your peoples, if you could share a fight video, they need to see this. Like this was good stuff, right? They need to know that it's okay to be a man and not be the alpha. They need to know about broken alphas, broken betas, broken people, men crying, women pump faking, men pump faking. It was just a lot going on, a lot of jokes, a lot of laughs. So they just really, really, really need to be a part of this conversation. So if you watching this, you need to share this. If you watch it at a later time, I personally think you should share it, right? And it's not even just because it's my podcast. It's just because I believe this conversation was that good, and I think that it'll definitely help somebody else. And it's something that's positive, right? So spread love. So another episode of Better Me Equals a Better We podcast, episode 22. We almost at 30, y'all. Well, 25 is like almost at 30. When you hit that 25 mark, that 5 mark, and whatever age you in, that's when you over the hill. But we on our way there, right? So I'm super excited. Who's the alpha in the household? I think that you guys really, really came with it in the comments and also my panelists. Hannah, do you have anything for our viewers before we head out?
Trey, thanks again for having me on this live. Man, when I tell you, you know how to work magic when it comes to how you pick your panelists. Like, you just know, and it's so crazy because you pick panelists that don't know each other, and then we get online, before we go live, and the chemistry is always amazing every time. So you have a gift with people. Just
Thank
know
you.
if you ever want me on again, I'm here. I would love to be on again. Um,
Listen, don't say that. I'll call you every week. No.
listen, I'll answer. um, you guys can follow me on Instagram, _ Hannah Chanel. I do Wine Inspiration Wednesday every week. On Wednesday, I usually present a topic that's a little dicey. Wine Inspiration is for all opinions. So whether you left, right, in the middle, whatever, I'm not going to chastise you. All answers are anonymous, so it's between me and you. And Wine Inspiration's on hiatus, but I'm doing a special episode tomorrow night just for you, Trey, just for the show. So, yeah. Thanks
Let's
again.
go. Thank you. And you saying that you're doing an episode just for me, it's like going to my mom's house and she like, listen, I cooked your favorite meal. Like it's like I did when it's just for you, when it's specially made, I definitely gotta tune into that. So make sure we tune in on Wednesday. Follow her on Instagram. I gotta see this. This is good stuff. Like
Thank you,
definitely,
Trey.
definitely
I
good stuff.
appreciate it. I
Um, and Natalie said in our comments, yes, tune in on Wednesday. Look, Natalie
Thank you,
already tapped
Nikki.
in.
Shout out to Nikki and shout
Yeah.
out to is that your mom, Trey? Natalie?
Oh, that's my aunt. That's
Oh,
my
your
aunt.
aunt. Sorry. I could shout out to both of you. They're so, and my brother Ruel and everybody that's been giving me like a lot of positive comments. I see y'all. I love y'all. Ashley too. I see y'all.
Yes, yes, yes. So, you got anything for our viewers before we head out?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for having me. Thankful to Hannah. It was a pleasure working with you, Trey. It's always, Ace by Ace Boom Coon. Thank everybody who tuned in, who was a part of the conversation. It's because of you guys we get to come on every week and keep pushing the culture. So thank you guys.
Right, right. And that's what it's all about pushing the culture, talking about those uncomfortable conversations that we talk about in the house over wine. And for some people, it might be something a little more than wine. That's your business, right? Because I heard that Casamigos is where it's at right now, right? So it might be a little, it might be Casamigos, it might be wine, it might be water, right? Like you might be a water kind of person, right? Whatever your thing is, right? But we sit down, we have these conversations in house. We have them over cards or hot dog. Well, I don't know if hot dogs is canceled anymore. Hamburgers or whatever at the barbecue. Um, but we have these conversations that we don't bring to light. We keep them in house. Nobody really talks about them. We have them with our boys or your home girls, and y'all don't really talk about it outside. I want to bring those conversations to light, and that's why we do what we do to talk about. Nikki said in our comments, glizzy. So I guess hot dogs are still canceled, but but
Nikki.
but I just want to bring these conversations to light. It's all about us giving different perspectives, like so that I can learn from Hannah, I can learn from Davon, I can learn from all of you guys in the comments, and vice versa. Hearing it from somebody different, like I don't have all the answers, right? But Davon or Hannah or Natalie or Ashton or Quanette, somebody in the comments may have what you need that clicks that light bulb that's like, yo, like this is what I needed to hear, right? And Eric said in our comments, this is exactly what I mean. We need some healthy options, right? It's not wrong with spinach, but sometimes you might need an orange, right? We need healthy options, different things to choose from. So that's what I'm trying to provide for you guys. So that's why I always encourage you guys to share, because you never know who this video might touch, what man maybe going through. Oh, he was actually talking about real food. Uh, plant, plant, plant-based burgers. That's I'm actually on that now. I'm actually on the fruit. I'm on my way to plant-based burgers. I cut out the beef. I'm doing turkey burgers right now. I'm on my way to plant-based though. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm on my way. But yeah, share this. Somebody might need this. This might be the light bulb that somebody needed in their day today, in their life today. Today is, I always have a saying when I get up in the morning and I make a plan to do something great for the next day. My mindset is always, today is the first day of the rest of my life. right? And that's what I want for everybody when you come on a Better Me Equals a Better Me podcast, that you hear something that can change your life so much so that you say, you know what, I'm gonna take this information and I'm actually going to change and not hold on to what I had and say, you know, today's a new day and it's the first day of the rest of my life, right? So that's what I wanna roll with. That's what I want to leave you guys with. And don't forget, just don't forget, a better me equals a better
Better
we.
we.
I'll see you guys next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. And we're going to talk about how men cry a little bit. All
Just
right.
a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. All right. So thank you guys for watching. And I will definitely see you guys next week. Good night.